Well, good to see everybody today, and obviously it was a good day of watching video. I'd love to say I didn't expect that to happen, but that's the expectation when you come out and take care of business and understand that each play has a history and life of its own, and go out and win that play. And I thought we did that in what was, as dominating performance as we did in really in all three phases. I thought, we there again got bit by a real good little move by 33 that got Aaron over the top, and it showed how slow we are in the secondary because no one caught the guy. And then same thing when they hand it to a guy, when we tried to get some guys some action and overran a tackle, and a guy ran down the middle of the field and no one could catch him. And but there again, I thought we did an excellent job from a game plan standpoint, and I thought our staff should be credited, for understanding what we need to do to complement each other. And there were a couple things that happened in that game I thought were really critical. I think the drive before half, stealing some points, was big, and how the guys just took it down the field, and then were able to grab some points there and maybe change momentum a little bit, or take some of the wind out of their sails. I thought answering offensively a couple times, Donnell's third down catch on that drive was big, and I thought it was a good decision by Garrett. And then if you think some definable moments, that where the guys actually reached down and didn't ever let up, and we did some things in special teams a little different, especially in the punt game. I thought putting the two guys back, I think in hidden yardage there was probably somewhere between 55 and 65 yards of hidden yardage that they were getting, which credit the special teams guys for getting that in, and I thought that was good. So I think it was a good team win. I don't. My concern now is it's really, I'm full of questions myself. How will we respond? What did we learn? Was it a fluke? I don't think it was. I mean, I really don't. I saw glimpses of this, as I've said, all year long. But now, do we take it the next step and learn from a consistency standpoint on what it takes? As I've said, that margin is really thin, and I was just proud of our guys. Very, very happy for the people in the organization, very happy for the fans. Probably the thing that hit me personally the most was Jared Barrett, with about 3 minutes to go, tapped me on the shoulder and thanked me. Couldn't quite figure out what he was talking about because I was still nervous they could score 30 points in 2 minutes or whatever. And said, I'd never seen the boot. And coming from one of those seniors who have really changed, you know what, that probably was a gratifying moment for me personally. So, injury-wise, Shaq Bell on Trenton's interception on the corner route, pulled something in his leg and didn't play the rest of the game. He's a day-to-day guy. We'll find out more as the week goes on. I know how important it is to him and how much he wanted to play in that game. obviously, and that's a big loss for us because he's kind of a steadying force back there at a lot of different spots. Not only good player, but very versatile. So we'll see where that goes. Thought Shaq Barrett, you could tell he was a step and a half slow, yet, kind of refused to let that get him down. I thought his presence, did I say Shaq Barrett? I did, didn't I? Yeah. His presence, I think, helped as much as anything because I thought they, oh boy, there's 56, something that, just his presence out there, I thought maybe did some things. And then I think both sides of the line should be credited. And we stayed in rush lanes defensively and for the most part stayed in coverage and didn't allow, those big, game changers. And we weren't running twist games and guys getting on edges and then, like we did the week before. I thought they learned from their mistakes against, the game prior. And I think that was a huge difference. And then offensively, time of possession and answering, I think, was really big. So, it's nice now. How do we answer this next bell? Because that game's over. What did we learn from our preparation? What did we learn from the way we competed? What did we learn from playing the game 4 quarters? And are we willing to let ourselves do that again? That's really the telling story now. Questions?
Jim, is it just more mental, the difference when you take these 2 games? I mean, it's the same players that are doing it. Is it just their mindset and the way they approach what they're doing on every play that is the difference between that San Jose State loss and this Wyoming win?
Well, in every loss. I mean, it isn't just that loss because you saw glimpses, Now, are you willing? Because here's the hard part now. The hard part is, am I willing to put that into it, to get that out of it? Because if you do, then you have expectations and you can't use excuses anymore. So you're absolutely correct in the standpoint of, the execution and the details of the execution and not allowing yourself an excuse to take a play off, not allowing yourself an excuse for not watching the video during the week, for not, I'm probably as upset at our backups because they had an opportunity and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. I mean, that really bothers me. To see them go in the game and flop around like they did, that really irritates me because they get reps in practice and they didn't go in and execute. And there's no excuse for that. There again, that transcends the mindset of I get an opportunity and now what do? I put myself on film giving up a huge run. I put myself on film not blocking a guy over me on the same play you've been running for the last 2 years. There's no excuse for that. And so, there's some lessons to be learned now. You never know when your number's going to be called, so you better be prepared to go do it. And, that was, guys, I took that personal.
I asked you a question about the game, about the seniors, and in particular like Curtis Wilson, and your comment was, I think they were finally fed up, or they finally said this enough's enough. Were you talking about that game as a whole, just that game, the Border War game? Or do you think the season, that it's clicking for them, this is their last shot, they're enough's enough for the rest of the season?
These seniors that are here have adapted to change. It's hard now, and yet that's what kind of makes me so proud and for them to really realize what the investment means, and when you let yourself go, do it for someone else, feels pretty good.
Do you get the feeling they're starting to take more ownership of this? And a lot, we've all talked about how you have a very young team still overall, but you really do rely on your seniors. Do you
Absolutely.
feel they're really starting to take ownership in what's left of this year?
I mean, I think there's no doubt in my mind what you said is true. However, are they satisfied in their one shining moment on something that should be expected on a daily basis? So moving forward, I think is going to answer that. Do I think they have it in them? Absolutely. Are they willing to grasp it? We'll find out.
So it sounds like you felt like they were done losing the boot. Now you want to see if they're done losing overall. That's
Yeah.
what you need to see from them.
You know, when I see the look in their eyes and on their faces, you know, in that locker room afterwards, I mean, it was almost like relief. You know, I don't think there's been a senior class go through that hadn't seen that prize, which was the boot. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, but I'm guessing if it is, there haven't been very many.
The 70s, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Especially in the 50s where they lost 10 straight, but the boot wasn't being played for.
is that, yeah, so 10 straight.
56 to 65.
I'm glad I didn't read anything about that. Wow, that'd be miserable. Wow. Captain, you didn't tell me that. Were you holding that from me for a reason? Is that priorities?
That's why I put it in finer print, the series record on their press release. Oh,
Gosh. But I don't know. I you know, just to see the joy of those guys running across the field, taking it to our fans. You know, the smiles on faces. And yet, you know, my focus personally stopped right there and started to figure out how we capture this moving forward. That you know, I mean, not to downplay the victory or anything, guys, but you know, that's what should happen if you take care of business.
To pick up on what Kelly said earlier, so aside from Colorado game, maybe your two biggest games, Alabama and that one, and played well. So is that a focus thing? That,
You know, I don't.
maybe they're not
Hey,
focused?
I don't know that it's a focus thing as much as a case of they've never been there. So, I mean, here's the hard thing is to take someone out of a comfort zone to do something that has not ever been in their nature, all right? Because you really have to invest for something like that to happen. Now, the investment is not just a one-time, you know, here, let me throw it in there and roll the bones. The investment, once you learn that daily investment, and now on Saturday I get to withdraw a little bit, they withdrew for 4 quarters. Now the thing that I am interested to see is if they're willing to now put the investment back in it every single day, getting ready to go into this game with Hawai'i. What I hope happens is they grab onto that feeling of accomplishment and realize what it was that got them that. You know, what that feeling. Now, do I want to lose that feeling? Or, you know what? I've got to put in the work and the investment to get that feeling back. That's really the interesting thing when you talk about teams.
It seems like you almost have more energy after a loss. Does winning take more out of you emotionally, or does it put more pressure on you?
You're talking about me personally?
You do seem a little more critical after this win.
Well, guys, I'm not ever satisfied. I mean, gosh darn, I mean, it's almost like, well, yeah, duh. I mean, this is possible if you take the proper steps within the process. So, it doesn't temper my excitement for the people surrounding the program. That boot's shiny now. That son of a gun is shiny, and on a beautiful day, one beautiful day in Laramie, Wyoming, right? That sun was shining on that thing, and gosh, that thing's pretty cool.
I guess what we're getting at is, what are you talking about when investment is? When I meant focus, I meant like in practice.
Yeah,
For the
no,
week.
that.
I didn't mean during the game.
No, the investment, the focus, the preparation, the attention to detail, the thought that I'm going to go on this individual play and do my job and win. And then once that play's over, do the same thing. There was a kind of a cool feeling in the locker room at halftime that I'm not sure I'd seen before, from the standpoint of, guys, we ain't going to let this one go. I felt pretty confident walking out of there. Felt confident walking out. But guys, I felt confident walking out at Bryant-Denny Stadium because that's how you should feel.
What did you see in your halftime film? I mean, you said you filmed halftime.
It was pretty cool.
Was it?
There were some guys that actually weren't worried about having some guys fruit chew. They were actually focused on what we need to do detail-wise the second half. Now, there were a couple guys that were still feeling sorry for themselves, okay, because maybe they didn't play. So what? This is a team game. You do what you can do to get yourself ready. Get out of the selfishness. Guys, it drives me crazy, on that standpoint. And yet, the flip side of that is some of the guys that were leaders made that irrelevant.
Well, Garrett said it was really quiet. Weston said there was a little bit of talk. What was the mood? Garrett's point was that we're going to take it like the beginning of a game. It's 0-0. We're all pretty quiet before a game. Weston said, yeah, it was kind of like that, but there were some things that needed to be brought up and reiterated.
Yeah, they were reiterated.
Was it a different mood than you've seen in the locker room at halftime? Did they take a better approach?
There's no doubt in my mind they did, because they're well aware of our deficiencies. When you just look at the numbers, the statistical numbers scored by opponents and not us, if that shouldn't hit you like a frying pan in the face, nothing should. So, and what I think they realize is it's part of the process. And there are no magic potions, but focus, I think, maybe is a word. I don't think that they're not sometimes focused. I think that they're sometimes maybe we're a little bit satisfied that we played okay. You know what I'm getting at? Rather than, now let's go out and be dominant.
Is that kind of why you are dissatisfied? Coming from your background, winning championships, are you trying to teach these guys that same mentality of, let's not be satisfied with this win?
That's absolutely correct.
We're not there yet.
That's absolutely correct. And it isn't my wanting them. It's I want them to realize, because when you go through life, you when you start gliding, that's when somebody goes ahead of you. And my thing is for these guys down the road to be able to reflect on some of the lessons taught some of the lessons learned that's going to help them. And you know what? Our seniors, I think, are great examples of that.
When you talk about not making excuses, have you seen that out of your team? Have they made excuses? Maybe is that why it's been kind of an up and down?
You know, I don't think they're excuses. I think sometimes there's the nature of being afraid of the unknown. And, you know, you've got to put yourself out there now. And when you put yourself out there, you're vulnerable to disappointment. And when you hold something back, you can always make an excuse and say, oh, well, you know, I didn't, you know, or whatever. So that's really where it's at. I do not want in any way, you know, this to come across like I'm not excited. I mean, that was cool. I mean, but I can't help myself the whole bus ride home saying this is what it should be, and we should be getting ready for Hawaii. You know, that's really what it's about.
How valuable was this, though? Just being able to teach that to
Yeah.
the team that, hey, you guys did the things we focused on all week in practice. You studied the film. You did the things we've been teaching you for a year and a half, and you went out and beat what looked like a pretty decent football team.
Good ball
And,
squad.
you know,
Yeah, against a
it
great
just-
player.
As
Yeah.
opposed to maybe, you know, there were times last year you probably had to wonder, we don't have the horses these guys do. We maybe just don't stack up.
Mhm.
That excuse is gone from the coaching staff standpoint now, I guess, too, right? That you guys have the players, you have what you need to be able to beat anybody.
You know, I don't.
And I don't think you use that as an excuse, but I think in the back of your mind there was probably always some of that players wondering, well, we just don't have the guys these guys do.
No. I mean, I don't.
From a physical standpoint.
I mean, I saw us trying to run after their guys when they got in the open. I'm not sure we ever caught them. You know, I mean, did we? We tried. We had some guys really running fast. They were going like this. It was interesting, but at the same time, I'm not an excuse guy. I mean, have I ever been? I don't. You know, I don't. I know what it takes, and I know the steps we need to take. Now, what we garner from this experience moving forward is really going to tell a lot, in my opinion, of our growth as an organization.
You mentioned your seniors again. Have you seen a change in them? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Over, not just from when you first got here, but now. But as the course of the season has gone on, you've talked to sense of urgency for your team before. They're the ones that should feel the most. Are you starting to get that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a senior year, man. I mean, because really, for the vast majority, I mean, this is it. I mean, same thing as I was at my son's senior night the other night, and, you know, there's just something that is so definitive about your senior year, you know, no matter where you're at. And my deal is for these guys to see, to taste, to see the value of what a team is and what a going out and doing your best on every play and what that means from self-gratification standpoint. That's really going to help them later in life.
In Hawaii, you face a team obviously that has not yet won. And it seems like they have a quarterback situation like you kind of had last year.
And on the edge, you know, I mean, there's like 4 games that went down to those last 2 possessions. I mean, tell you what was impressive is see those guys roar back against Fresno. I mean, SC, you know, I mean, I'm sitting there watching these things. I mean, Vegas, you know, Vegas hits one at the buzzer, and they had 2 stops on that last drive that kind of, you know, I mean, so I'm sure Norm's pulling his hair out, and I know what a great coach he is and highly respected in what he does and knows what he's, and know what he's going through. You know, I just, you know, I really, it's, they're physical, they play in spurts, you know?
I've heard teams do that.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm watching this thing and wondering if we're not in the green and black uniforms.
What are the challenges of playing on the island?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
4 time zones.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things we did in this summer is, I don't know, you might have saw the lights on if you guys were up late.
It's right by my house.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to keep you up at night. I'm sure we got some neighborhood complaints, but you know, our guys worked out 11 o'clock at night. The game's going to be played, I think, at 10 o'clock our time. Half of them don't start playing Call of Duty until midnight anyway, you know. So it's like, you know, I don't see any of these as, but I know that the travel over, you can use it again as an excuse to maybe not play to your fullest. How we handle it, you know, will be part of the growing experience, and see if we're, you know, mentally capable of taking the distractions and understanding what business trip we're going on here, and yet at the same time, you know, I'm not going to downplay that, you know, some of these guys have never been there. I kind of forget that these guys aren't in the mountain, or weren't in the Mountain West, you know, I mean, because at one time, you know, in the WAC maybe or whatever, right? So no one on our team has been there.
Your team has struggled on the road. I mean, they finally got their first road win last week.
Yeah, but really it wasn't on the road. We stayed here. We drove up in the morning.
Right.
We took our own water. We okay, you know, I mean, you know, it might have been. I don't, you know, but yeah, I'm worried about that. I really am, because we have not proven. You know, we went to Tulsa, and I thought played at times pretty decent. You know, and that's going the other way. I'm not sure you can duplicate the you know, but I'm looking forward to seeing how our guys have grown up and how we handle it.
Do you travel different because of the length of trip?
Yeah, well, one of the things you have to do is bus to Denver, because the size of the plane, I guess, to
Can't fly out.
get over there or whatever, and then we'll have to make a stop somewhere in California to fuel up, I guess, and then go 5.5 hours. I guess it's better than taking a boat. So, but quicker. You know, if we had one of those big boats, we could just practice all week on like one of those. Yeah, you know. But
That's what Navy ought to do when they go.
yeah, no kidding. So, so yeah, obviously there's some differences.
But I mean, do you approach, I mean, how can you, because it's such a long trip, how do you keep it as normal as possible? Because
Yeah,
from what I've heard, football coaches are creatures of routine.
we are. We're nuts. We're crazy. Why do we do this? We are creatures of habit. I'm probably the worst. And yet, you know, when you make a big deal about the you know, oh geez, you're going to be in an airplane for 7 hours. So what? You know? So what do? You know, Coach Kent is going to buy position group every 45 minutes. The certain position groups getting up, and they're doing sprints up and down the aisle. Okay, you know, I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, they know the routine. So then when that group goes down, the other one stands up. Worried about the counterbalance on the plane when the linemen get up.
But if they're running down the middle, it should be okay.
It should be okay. And I feel sorry for those stewardess. What are these guys doing, right? But, you know, there's certain things that you talk to people who have been over there and
One of the things you're going out Friday, a lot of teams will go out Thursday and say they need that extra day because of the travel.
Right.
Is that part of the,
It'll make a big difference.
it's our routine. We leave on Friday, okay, it's a little bit further, we'll leave a little earlier in the day.
that's
We're
what
gonna
yeah.
do our normal Thursday, everything we always do here in
Yep.
town. You're gonna go home, go to bed.
Yep, and then
Friday
show up a
morning.
little earlier
Uh-huh.
on Friday. We'll do meetings, walk through. We won't you know, I mean, they'll probably be excited. But although I tell you what, our guys kind of look forward to dressing up. But I'll probably put them in, you know, comfortable clothes, you know, team sweats rather than coats and ties. You know, only because they're going to be in a seat for 7 hours. Don't tell them that. Okay, I don't want them to, you know. But so there's some things like that we'll do. But
you let them dream a little bit at this point about the possibilities. You know, one team, one town, one dream. I don't know what the dream is, but you've got two possibilities. You've got a Mountain West Division championship still to play for. You got a possibility of a bowl game for the first time in 5 years to play for. Do you let them vocalize that at all, or is it strictly Hawaii this week? That's what we got.
well, none of that can come true if you don't take care of this week, this day, you know, moving forward. So obviously I would hope that's in their mind. You know, I mean, I'm not, but at the same time, it's not the end all. The end all is, what are we going to do now to put us in that point? Because we've got to take care of this one before we can ever get there. To be quite honest with you, I hadn't even really thought about it. So that's a bad answer to a good question.
What have you seen out of their? I know Norm wanted to change the offense up because he wanted a physical, powerful running game because that's what he thought he could recruit on the island. That hasn't quite transformed it. What do you see out of their offense? Because when their back's been against the wall, when they've had large deficits to overcome, they've thrown the ball pretty well, and
Yeah.
that's a bugaboo for you.
That is a bugaboo. And, you know, I'm worried about, you know, they've got a couple receivers and then they've got a little running back that kid out of Florida that's really got some juice that we've got to make sure doesn't get on the edge. And, but, you know, I think he's trying to create an identity, and there's been some serious flashes now against some of the opponents that they played. And, you know, they getting settled at the quarterback position is one of the keys to that. I hope they don't discover the guy against us.
Well, and when they go back to Schroeder, the senior. He's the guy that's really the deep passing.
Yeah, he does.
He wasn't necessarily part of Norm's whole recruiting and all. He was already there. But what does he bring to that offense when he's in there? Are they a different look when Schroeder's in there?
A little bit from the standpoint is he stretches the field pretty well and puts the ball where those guys can go make plays, and a lot of their explosive plays have come off of that. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see. You know, it's hard. Do you say, okay, now it's time for a youth movement? Which guy gives us the best opportunity to win the game? That's hard. All right?
One final thing, do you worry about, because you look at this team, I know you worry all the time, but this is a team that, as you said, the flashes are there, and at some point, they're going to do what you guys did at Wyoming, maybe put it all together.
There's no doubt.
And
It's scary. I mean,
you see that they have some of those pieces there too, and boy, you just don't want to be necessarily on the other side.
you know, and they're sitting there saying right there to themselves, here's an opportunity against a team that you know, in us, that has been really up and down and is still searching. And they're pointing at 4 games that says, you know, guys, it very easily could be 4-2 right now. So, and we got them on our turf.
Let me ask you about Garrett. Let's say his leadership's been kind of a roller coaster ride since he was here. You were happy with it when he won the job, took a downturn. Where does he sit with that now? How happy are you with how he's leading your offense and that role?
I'm not happy with 2 of his throws.
Okay. That's a physical point.
But I tell you what, I think he's come a long ways, and he's really understanding. And I go back, I think his preparation has gotten better and better. And, you know, learning how to do that is so important. And, I think that's helped him play better.
Dave Baldwin last week said he thinks still some of that leadership role that a quarterback would normally take is still being held by Weston.
Yeah, I do.
Do you think you see Garrett taking a little bit more and more of that?
You know, I think there was a moment in that locker room at halftime where almost Weston's conceded the opportunity for him to, in other words, look, man, do this for me. You know, I mean, I've been through this and haven't seen the boot, right? I think that there might have been a symbolic passing of the torch. Now, whether he, you know, takes the torch and runs with it, you know, leadership is something that cannot be forced. It's got to be developed.
That it wasn't his personality. He said that before. Do you see it he's becoming more comfortable with it and understands?
I think I do believe that. And yet, not being comfortable with it is an excuse. Nature of playing that position, you better, because that's what the position, that's part of the job description when they wrote the word quarterback and had these little, okay, you know, these are the qualifications. Yeah, so. All right, guys, thanks.
I think we've had that mindset that we were going to be that class since last spring. When Matt came in, new regime, and that's what we focused on, being the class to really change the culture around here. And I think last week we finally, you know, put a game together, but at the same time you got to continue to build off that.
Did it take the momentum of having never won the boot that gave you that extra spur? Now that you've known what, if you guys put it all together, what that's like? Some emphasis for the rest of the season?
Really, it starts with practice. I mean, that was the first week that I didn't feel like there was ever, you know, a period really that we had a bad period. I mean, we've had weeks of great practices every day, but there'd be one bad period. Last week, I didn't feel like we had one at all.
Is this just a culmination of players really kind of truly buying into what this coaching staff has been teaching as far as what it really takes to have that kind of performance on a Saturday, what you have to do every single day in practice and every drill and every play? Was this maybe the culmination of little by little you guys saw pieces of it, and this is
yeah, I
this
think
time it really kind of clicked?
Yeah, I think you saw early in the season the defense had stepped up in a few games, offense, and then finally we just all got on the same page on the same day. Throughout the season, you know, everybody's played well, but can we do it all at the same time? And like I said, practice is really where it's at. As long as we continue to practice that way, we're going to be a pretty good team.
What did this tell you about this team? I mean, you went out and beat a pretty good team and beat them pretty handily.
Nothing I didn't already know, you know. I knew our offense could be explosive. I knew our defense could shut people down. I know we can continue to build off that. Special teams have done a great job all year.
How frustrating will it be then if you guys can't just continue to build on this, if all of a sudden you maybe slip back into what you were?
We don't think that way. We're going to continue to build off of what we've done.
What are the things you guys as seniors have to do to make sure that happens, to keep everybody in that direction?
We're just going to keep practicing hard and keep doing what we need to do. The details, take care of all the details.
I mean, do you have to call people out sometimes in practice?
If it's needed. If it's needed, we will.
Do you get that feeling of urgency as a senior now? I mean, you're halfway through this last year.
I've felt that way the whole time, and you question yourself after every week. You know, what could I have done? What could I have done? And as long as everybody thinks that way, you're gonna, you know, continue to get better. And I think this team has a lot of leadership. You know, starting with the offensive line, Weston Richburg, and the defense, Barrett. They've done a great job, kind of owning their sides of the ball. You get them together, you know, they're tough to stop.
You mentioned leadership. Garrett supposed to be the leader of your offense because he's quarterback, and I think it was a roller coaster ride for him a little bit. What have you seen out of him as a leader? Has he improved in that regard this year?
Like I said, last spring, you know, after coming off an injury, we got back in the weight room, we got back in our off-season program, and that's when it really started. He stepped up and took the job. People had questioned who was going to be the starter all along. Everybody else knew. I mean, the outside world didn't know, but the team knew. who was doing it and who was in the film room and who was taking care of their business.
He's always said he wasn't comfortable being a vocal leader. Have you seen that change at all?
You know, he doesn't talk much, but neither do I. And I mean, you lead by example. And that's how I think it should be done. You know, you have your woohoo guys that want to yell and scream, but for the most part, he just, you know, do as I do, not as I say. You know, he didn't need to say much as long as you're seeing what he does. He's a under the radar guy, but he takes care of his business.
Is he different in the huddle this year, though? I mean, does he have a better command?
I think when he steps in, everybody's on him. I don't think that's because of, you know, lack of confidence from him last year or anything. It's just it was new to everybody. We didn't fully understand. So, yeah, he definitely when he steps in the huddle, everybody knows, listen up, because he's got in charge.
Crockett, what's it been like to just kind of get the offense really? This is the offense you guys have talked about for years, even before this coaching staff came in, about having the strong running game, having the passing game, the play action, everything. You really, the last 3 games, and especially 2 of those 3 games, it's really clicked. 500+ yards, over 50 points. What's that felt like, and just what has been the biggest change that's made that happen?
I think maturity, growing up a little bit. I mean, we had talked about it, and we tried to do as much as we could, but really getting on the same page and having the guys that established that early running game 2 years ago to actually get together. Everybody's healthy, or you know, we grew over the summer, we grew over the spring, really got together, got in the film room, understand the defense, understand our own offense. As long as we take care of the details, I mean, that's where it is. It's all in the details.
Is that more a mental approach than a physical approach almost at this point?
Yeah, and that's something in the past we thought, you know, maybe our physicalness is just going to take over. Well, if you don't have the details, then the physicalness isn't going to matter. So now that we have the details, we can take over.
How do you guys make sure that you do the same stuff in practice every week? You said you had a really good week of practice last week. Maybe the ones previous weren't as good. How do you keep that going?
You know, in the past, there was days that just the attitude of the team was that they didn't want to be there. And this year, I don't feel that we've ever had that. Everybody wants to like you said, buy in. I mean, we bought in last spring. It hasn't been a question. This is why we're here. This is what we're here to do. We're going to win a bowl game. This is our, you know, this is what we want to do. So it's not a question of whether, you know, we need a setback or anything. This team wants to go get it, and it just has a different energy about it.
Even though Hawai'i hasn't won a game, McElwain has mentioned this game for the past couple weeks as one that's going to be really tough for you guys. What has he told you about that? You know, how to keep the focus and not get too cocky with them?
We're just looking at them just like any other game. You know, it's the biggest game of the year because it's the next game. So we're going to take care of our business, and then we'll take care of that when they get to them. We'll watch film all week. We're going to prepare just like we did against Alabama or Wyoming or whoever else.
You are going to Paradise, though. There are distractions.
This is a business trip.
It's going to be up to the seniors to keep everybody focused.
Yes, sir. We're going to get down there. You know, we're there to play a football game, and they know that. If they want to go back, you know, after the bowl game, they can. But we're here to play football.
You've mentioned bowl game a couple times now. You guys have always been really careful not to say what the dream at the end of the slogan is this year. Is it safe to say that a bowl game is one of them?
Absolutely. I'd say so. It'll be a disappointment, and this team, you know, they deserve that. They deserve more than that. We need to continue to win, take it week by week, but that is a goal of ours.
Yeah, the other part is you still have a chance to win the Mountain Division. Win a division championship, get into the Mountain West championship game. How big a motivator is that for you guys down the stretch now?
It's only a possibility if you win every week, and we got to win out. So this is like I said, this is the biggest game, so we got to take care of this weekend.
Was this a huge win in that terms of keeping all those hopes alive, though? Because a lot of that stuff might have disappeared. You would have gone down 0-2 in the conference. Chances of winning the division title are pretty slim with 2 losses. With 1 loss now, everybody's got one. Was this a really big win as far as just keeping all those things within your reach?
Absolutely. But like I said, as long as we take care of our details, and that's what the focus is on all week. So we just felt that we did our job, and it showed.
Well, last week you said that it was really important for you guys to establish you want to get back to that. What changed in that you guys were able to do so effectively, and how do you keep that going?
We ran the ball often and early, and you know we felt that we really just took over the game, and I think Wyoming has a toughness about them, and I think we kind of knocked it out of them to start the game. And we, from offense line perspective, we really want to do that. I mean, we want to go in there, knock them around a little bit, and then if we needed to, throw the ball. But we're going to run it until we decide we don't want to run it anymore.
Do you have any friendly competitions going on? The receiving core, perhaps Keon, he seems to be Mr. Touchdown lately. Does he have to buy you guys ice cream every time?
No, nothing like that. You know, Kevon's done a great job this year. I'm proud of him. You know, we live outside, catching the ball from Garrett and the rest of the quarterbacks. And like I say, he's done a great job, and we're happy for him.
You guys always thought you were a pretty talented combo. What did it mean for you guys last week to actually both end up on that Mackey midseason list?
I feel like I can't speak for Kevon exactly, but you know, it's an honor. But like I said, it doesn't mean much until we go win.
What was it cooler that you were both on it? You're the only
Absolutely,
team in football
absolutely.
that had both teams on.
And we feel like we've been that way for 2 years now. So
And what's the side bet?
win a bowl game.
Yeah. Thanks, Crockett.
You could say that because like the games that happened before, like we was always urging to win, like stress the importance to win those games too, but they in the past. So as coach said, our next game is our biggest game. So it's that game, and we was all focused in on that game, and we all wanted to bring the boo home, and we wanted to do everything in our power to make sure we achieve that goal, and that's what happened out there yesterday.
You yet as a senior class, you have possibly 6 games left in your college career. You want to make the most out of it.
Yes, I do want to make the most. I mean, I have been thinking about that earlier today, like counting how many games we had left, and like really don't want it to be over, but it's kind of bittersweet because you know, like all like the little winter workouts and all that stuff. It's real hard, but you just love the game. Well, I love the game, and I love being out there with our team out there and our brothers. And it's just a great bond that we had together. So it's going to be sad for it to come to an end, but it's bittersweet that I'm graduating and I'm finally finishing up.
But is it anything the seniors as a whole have talked about?
We talked about going to a bowl game. We think that's the least we could do for our 4 years. We want to be out there and try to like bring back the old Colorado State of old times. And we know that we probably 3 wins, and 4 wins since I've been here. I think that's about right. And we trying to like get that to be in the past, keep it in the past, so that we never had to come back up again. So we want to end our college careers on a high note, and that's what we emphasizing.
Shaq, is the biggest difference we saw between what you guys did a week ago against San Jose State and what you did this past week? Is it all mental? Coach suggested it's a lot more in here than anything physical.
Yeah, I would agree with Coach because this is just learning what we do and doing it well and executing everything that we do, because we came in San Jose with a great game plan. We just didn't execute it well because like on defense we missed a couple tackles, and that's like we know we supposed to stay on our feet and run throughout his, but like when you get tired and fatigued, you don't think like clear like you're supposed to be thinking, and you just start like doing anything when you tired. I've been victim of that before. When you tired, you just don't even care no more. You just do like anything. So I think that mental is probably the biggest difference, and that's about it. Just mental, yeah.
Why weren't you guys tired? Was it just because the offense had some long, sustaining drives, or was there just the excitement of the food, the energy, the fast start? It was the opposite.
I would say it was just the environment that we was in, and we like came in there with the goal that we had to get it by any means, well within the rules, and and we just we had people to rotate with us in case we got tired. But I know our offense was moving the ball great, and they gave us a lot of breaks, and we very appreciative for that. And we know that sometimes you can't afford to be tired out there, and especially when you got like a goal and to like bring home the boot, we can't afford to be tired. We gotta like do what we had to do to accomplish that goal.
I'm curious, on your interception, how shocked were you? I mean, you're rushing the quarterback, you turn around and all of a sudden the ball's flying at you.
Yeah, I was shocked. I just react. I wasn't expecting that at all for the bounce. What it was? Y'all said 8 yards? Like, yeah, that was crazy.
Have you seen it on film?
Yeah, I watched. I watched it.
How's your ankle?
Mike was getting better. I should be a lot better this week than I was last week. Even though last week I was still pretty good, so that's just saying that my ankle's still getting better.
How do you guys keep that mental approach you had with the boot and the energy, the rivalry, all those things? You're going to have to get on a plane, fly 7 hours, play a team that's winless. How do you keep that mentality into this game?
This is going to be just up to all the players. Look like the coaches, they just set us up for what we supposed to do. And the players, you just got to come out there and just try to get yourself going. If you can't get yourself going, that's when the other player got to come in to help get yourself going. And it's just up to us to be honest. It's nothing else like the coaches could do. Like every week we came in with a great game plan. And some weeks we executed, some weeks we executed, but we finished, like we didn't finish the third quarter, fourth quarter. So we just got to get better at stuff like that. And just the energy, like, is just up in our hands. This is how we attack practice. If we come out and just play around in practice and not have a serious attitude with it, I wouldn't be shocked if we go out there on Saturday and like not perform to our best capabilities. So we just got to come out there, practice and perform the way we can, and high energy, get stuff done instead of just going through the motions, as Coach said. And we will be real good with carrying the momentum over from last week to Saturday.
How do you keep this a normal road trip considering that it's really not going?
I haven't really gave that too much thought, but I don't know. I guess that's gonna be up to the coaches on how to make that normal road trip. I really haven't gave it too much thought.
Yeah, because Jim said he didn't want to make a big deal out of the fact that it is no longer airplane ride and stuff like that. I mean, just try and keep it normal as possible.
Yeah, I know some people will be thinking like, yeah, we're going to Hawaii. They think we're gonna be able to go around and have some hangout time and some beach time. I know I wouldn't mind that, but it's still just a business trip. No, I don't expect it. It's just a business trip like as every other week. Just come in there, do the meetings and pre-game meal as usual, and just come out there, game day ready to play.
Are you packing a swimsuit?
Nah.
So in a way, is this week maybe as much pressure as any of them because it's pressure to continue and momentum show that wasn't fluke, which is coach's word actually talking about, we don't want to show this as fluke. So in a way, is this a lot of pressure this week?
Yeah, because we feel as though we're a pretty good team, and to prove that we gotta be able to string together a couple wins at a time, and I don't think we did that this season so far. So back-to-back wins would be big for us, and we hope to get that done by coming out here like today and tomorrow, preparing so that we can string together a couple wins back-to-back.
Is the biggest difference between what this team did Wyoming and what you did maybe Tulsa, CU and all? Is it more the mental approach and the way you approach practice and all those than necessarily physical?
Yeah, and I would say we approach practice like tremendously, and everybody like was emphasizing the importance of winning the boot, not just for us but for the community, and I think that helped us out a lot too, knowing that it was bigger than us. And so if we could like have that approach for every game, just knowing that it's not just for us as a team to get the win, but it's just for our whole program. I know Jack Graham talking about getting more out-of-state students to come to CSU and winning as a football program. He said that'll help a lot. So it's bigger than us, and we want CSU to be a prominent school in academics and sports. So we got to come out there and perform on the football field in order to get the ball rolling for that.
Did Jack Graham actually come and talk to you guys about that personally?
He had an all-athletes meeting a couple times, and he talked to the football team before about it too.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.